In the meantime, let's talk about this. We are keeping a close eye on the upcoming races that will impact the everyday lives of New Yorkers, like the one we just talked about, including the one for Congressional District 10, which covers Lower Manhattan and Brooklyn. The so-called Mamdani effect could play a pivotal role in this race. Incumbent Dan Goldman fighting to keep his seat against progressive candidate Brad Lander. Congressman Goldman joining us this morning in studio. So thank you for being here. I guess Happy New Year. We just talked about this Happy New Year discussion. But
Absolutely. I still think you can say it.
Okay, there you go. So you're running. You've just announced that you're running for re-election against Brad Lander, who was here on the show, and he's selling himself as somebody who can really take on the affordability crisis. He had some swipes at you, saying that you are ultra rich, that you bought your seat, and that you don't really have what it takes to be a congressman. What is your response, and why are you the right man for the affordability crisis?
Well, there are a variety of different things that we have to face here, but I've come to this job and demonstrated a record of both creativity and advocacy for working families in my district and this city. And I think it's important for the Democratic Party to have a broad coalition of people from different backgrounds fighting for the same thing. I recently introduced the Robin Hood Act, which would target billionaires to make sure they pay their fair share. It would generate enough revenue to pay for universal health care across the country, which is something else that I've been a strong advocate for. But the biggest threat right now is Donald Trump and his attack on our democracy. I have not only fought him for the last 6 years since I was the lead counsel in the first impeachment, but I have beaten him and I have had success. And it is not just enough to have fighters in Congress right now. We need to have people who know how to win. And that's what I am. That's what I did. And in January 2027, when we take over the House, as the Democrats take the majority, I want to be on those front lines, leading those investigations into Donald Trump.
So what do you say about what do you say to his answer then about affordability, saying that you bought your seat and that you're the wrong man to tackle affordability, that you don't understand the needs of the constituents?
Well, I urge everyone to look at my record. You can have different backgrounds and come to this from different, but I have been committed to public service for my entire career. I am incredibly lucky to be the beneficiary of the American dream. Yep. And what I have tried to do since day one and in my entire career is make sure that everyone gets access to the American dream. And it is not accessible for far too many people. The wealth inequality gap is far too wide. And that's what I've been tackling since day one, and I will continue to do that.
So let me ask you about the Mamdani effect. You didn't endorse Mayor Mamdani, though a majority of your district did vote for him. And now progressive Democrats, many could say, are actually gaining momentum right now. And last time you spoke, you said you're aligned with Mayor Mamdani on a lot. So why didn't you endorse him? What do you disagree with him on?
Well, look, I made myself clear during the campaign that Jewish New Yorkers, many Jewish New Yorkers, are very scared right now because of the rise in anti-Semitism and the rise in violence in the name of anti-Semitism. And it is important for the mayor, as the leader of the city, to take concrete steps to not only combat it when it happens, but to prevent it from going forward. But he won. And I've spoken to him since, and I'm looking forward to working with him on that affordability agenda.
You mentioned anti-Semitism. Let me just ask you a question, because he just got rid of an executive order that adopted this broad definition of anti-Semitism. Did you agree with that executive order to get rid of that broad definition?
I'm a supporter of that definition. I'm a supporter of clarity of what anti-Semitism is. But I don't think our problem right now is defining what anti-Semitism is. I think our problem is combating anti-Semitism. It's something I feel very strongly about because of my own faith, representing my community and the anti-Semitic threats I get all the time. That is an important issue, but there are many other important issues. And the job of being a member of Congress in Washington fighting the Republicans is very different than the job in city government or state government, where it's Democratic controlled and you're essentially trying to figure out how to divvy up a budget. We have a very different job in Washington where you need creativity, you need to have a different way of thinking in order to get things done. I brought that to the job, and I will continue to do that, both on the investigative front, but also in advocating for my constituents.
Let me ask you and end on immigration and ICE raids, because you've been very vocal about it, as has your opponent, who himself was arrested. You said that was performative. What is the right answer then to the immigration and ICE raids that are still happening?
Look, I have worked with Brad on this specific issue. I have no problem with the way that he has been advocating in his role. in my role, I have tried to use that creativity, that aggressiveness. I successfully filed and won a lawsuit that allowed me, as a member of Congress, to go into the ICE detention facilities and conduct oversight, which I did yesterday, unannounced. And let me tell you, they are very different right now than they were in the videos that we saw several months ago that caused a judge to rule they were unconstitutionally inhumane. And that is partly what the point of oversight is. And I have been helping so many families on the ground in my district office, which is now a triage center. So I am doing the work every day to actually make a difference for the people affected by this. That's the way I approach this job across the board, and that's how I'll continue to do it.
All right, Congressman Dan Goldman, I appreciate you being here on your day of your announcement. We'll talk to you throughout the campaign, okay?
Thanks for having me, Dan.